Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today we're looking at data validation within Excel and how to use that in order to reduce human error within our forms, templates, etc. Very often I build files that are supposed to be used by other people, and once in a while the people that are supposed to use those files are not really knowledgeable in Excel. So those can be like executives that just want to look at outputs from different models. More often than not, they want to play around with some of the assumptions. So what I started doing is as I started using data validation to allow them to play with some assumptions, but at the same time reducing what they can do to keep them from breaking the model. So the most common thing is for them to, let's say, input percentages or change like number of units, or have like a drop down to reply a yes or no in order to include or exclude something from the model. At first, I used to do that with complex formulas. I used to like add in macros and user forms and things like that that really looked cool, but they were really not very usable or user friendly. So at some point, I just started to stick to the integrated data validation tools within Excel. And to be honest, I haven't had a situation where I couldn't implement one of those or some combination of those in order to make sure that that my form is at least harder to break, so that the users can have a more relaxed and more pleasant experience. By the way, guys, before we jump into Excel, if you enjoy the content, a thumbs up will be awesome, and also a sub will be amazing. So yeah, let's go ahead, open Excel, and I show you a few examples on how to implement data validation in your files. What I have here is a weekly timesheet that would calculate the weekly pay per employee. What I want is to have hours typed in, but I want to avoid like possible human error. So I don't want it to, let's say minus 15 hours, which is impossible. And I also know that the longest shifts are 12 hours, so I don't want them to, like, by mistake typing 122 or something like that. What we can do is we can use Excel's built-in data validation. So we go to the Data tab, Data Validation, and here's our validation criteria. So I want to use like whole numbers, integers. So I'm gonna use the drop down, move to whole numbers. The data can have a minimum and a maximum. If we just leave it like that, it would just allow a whole number, but I want it to have the minimum and a maximum. So what I can do here is select this, and don't forget to lock it with F4 so that no matter which cell I'm in, it would always refer to H8. And here I want this one. There's also two other options. So we can show an input message that would be always visible. So please input hours, and hours can be a whole number between 0 and 12. I don't really like using those. What I usually do if this is going to be used externally is I go for an error message, hours not correct, and here I'll say please provide a correct number of hours between 0 and 12. Okay, so now you see that this input message appears all the time. I really don't like this one, to be honest, but you can use it. So just gonna go here and remove the input message. Okay, so let's try and add 10 hours here, and it works. Okay, 11 hours here, 9 hours, 3 hours. Say we mistake something and we want to type in a negative number. So now we get hours not correct. Please provide the correct number of hours between 0 and 12. Okay, let's do a typo on 22. We get the same thing. This doesn't have to be next to the table. So if you have a lot of those data validations, what makes sense usually is to have like another sheet that you can after that hide, where you can place all those and refer to them. Okay, next example, what we can do is we can use this to validate dates and text. So I have the dates here, and so we want the date to be in a specific month, and we want the expense line to have minimum 3 characters and maximum 15, so that we can then upload it in our system. The first thing to start with, let's go to the data tab, data validation, and we want this to be a text length, and the minimum we want it to be this 3 here, and don't forget to log that, and the maximum this 15, and also log that. Okay, so now if you want to just type A, it won't let me. At the same time, if you want to type in too much, it won't let me as well. Okay, and for the date, it's pretty much exactly the same thing. So go to data validation. You want it to be a date, and you want it to be between a start date, which is going to be this one here, and our end date, which is going to be this one here, and I'm locking both of those. You can see that this is the US format here, but as long as those are recognized as dates here in the number format, and those here are dates as well, then this would work just fine. So if I have like 1/12/21, it would let me do that, but I want to do 21st of February 21, that won't work because it's not within our date range. And last but not least, my favorite one is working with lists in terms of data validation. So what we can do here is pretty much give those drop downs with different options. Let's say we want to add the option here to state if this is approved or not. So what we can do is get a list, take this as a source, and you can see that it locks it. It's an in-cell drop down, and ignore blank. Okay, and now you can see that we have this drop down, and we can pretty much select as a menu yes or no everywhere here. So you can still type it, and if you type something wrong, it would give you an error. The best part is that you get those drop downs and the option to select. So something else that I might want to do is add some conditional formatting, where I can just go ahead and select only cells that contain. Let's make it a yes. And I just want those to have like a slight green. Okay, and now all my yeses have a slight green. I can do the same for the no's and do it like a slight orange or something like that. Something additional, especially when you're doing like yes or no type of data validation, you don't even need to have those options somewhere, and you can just go ahead here and just say that this will be equal to yes and no. Okay. And now we don't need those here, but we can still get our yes and no. So that's my approach every time where I build a file for a client, or maybe I'm building a model and I need some other department that's not necessarily proficient in Excel. I want them to help me out with figuring out some of the assumptions. So I would add some data validation, send the file to them, and be like reasonably certain that they won't break the model itself. That was it for today. I tried to keep it shorter, not sure if I managed, but yeah, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and maybe even punch the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Pretty much help you and to hope you found the video okay guys, that was it guys. If you find